still look real weird, but just forward, side, forward, side. That wasn't too bad, you know? That wasn't bad. Get that in the documentary. Get that on camera.
Well, as a child, I think back to him sort of at the age of 2 or 3, wearing splints, running around after a ball, really. By his school, there was a hill, and he would charge down it. And you just, most people are saying, Pam, how can you let him do these things? How can you, aren't you worried he's going to fall? And I'm like, well, he is going to fall. But I'm not going to restrict him. I'm not going to stop him from running off because it's what he wants to do and he needs to be able to do it. He joined beavers for a while, cubs, but the activities became more and more things like walking up a hill, hiking, that kind of thing, which he'd try, but of course would then get quite frustrated with. So it wasn't always an easy thing. So the tiredness he would feel as a kid and the pressure to, he wanted to be part of the sporting boys group, and he didn't just want to sit around, and so he would find that difficult, understandably. So yeah, occasionally he would say, why do I have a disability? And of course, that's not something that is an easy thing to answer.
I was diagnosed with diplegic cerebral palsy in both my legs when I was 2 years old. My parents both had no idea what cerebral palsy was or how it might affect me. And it limited me in several ways. In terms of the disability itself, affects balance, coordination. I have a lot of it's pain-based. A lot of my childhood, I was exactly the same as everyone else. A little bit of a crazy kid, running around, didn't really know what to do with myself. But I always felt like I was not quite included.
As he got older, his peers got older and they could run for longer and run faster. And kids don't always wait for you. I mean, sometimes they do, but they don't always wait for you. And that was hard.
I was constantly playing football, playing basketball, playing on the playground with everyone else, but I couldn't quite keep up because of my disability. And I really remember one of my core memories from growing up being, I was just as good at football as everyone else. But then I was rejected from the team purely on the basis of not even my skill, just the fact I had a disability. So really being included, inclusivity, and learning how to live my life as a young kid, being disabled, and accepting that for myself was a real struggle growing up, particularly up until primary school and into secondary school. Perhaps because you're not as involved or people don't understand, that can really take a knock on your confidence and your social life, particularly when you were younger. And just really for someone who was as active as me when I was younger, and maybe still now in some instances where confidence might be knocked, just accepting the fact, look, I do have a disability, and really seeing it as a part of myself or as a positive thing. I'm lucky enough to be ambulant, be able to walk myself, but that was only through surgeries when I was younger. I had quite a major surgery in 2012 after going to watch the Paralympics. And I literally had to relearn how to walk again.
Prior to his surgery, they tried this thing called serial casting. Basically, his foot was forced into as close as possible to a 90-degree angle, which it was nowhere near 90 degree by this point because he couldn't stand unaided. His calf muscles were so tight and short his bones had grown, but the muscles hadn't stretched with them. But these serial castings, the physio would force his leg back as far as she could and then set the leg in that position. It was awful. I think the first time we lasted a few hours before he was screaming in pain and we had to get him off. After his operation in 2012, when he woke up, the first thing he said after coming out of the anaesthetic was, I feel taller. So that was, that's something that just came to mind.
There are some not so nice people in this world, as everyone knows. And if I'm really open to talking to people, answering their questions, trying to help people understand, but there's some people you can't be disabled because you're not in a wheelchair. Or why do you use a wheelchair sometimes but not other times? If you're running around, how can you do that if you're disabled? Everyone's disability affects them differently. For example, me and Libby, my girlfriend, have the exact same disability, but it affects us in totally different ways.
Okay.
Can you just say that to the camera, please?
I'm Libby Phillips and I'm a wheelchair basketball player. So I play wheelchair basketball for Cardiff Met and for Wales. I've been doing that since I was about 8 years old, and I've been playing for Wales since I was 10, 11. We met when I was 11, Will was 12, and we were doing junior Wales basketball. And I didn't like Will. I did not like him at all. I just thought I was super, super shy, and Will was so out there and confident, and it was just, I felt taken aback because I was obviously so shy. So I have diplegic cerebral palsy, so it's mainly my legs that are affected. And growing up, I felt very kind of to the side of all my friends because they were all able-bodied and didn't have any disabled friends. So it was I'd be in my chair and I'd feel very inferior and quite insecure because I wasn't able to keep up in that way. So finding basketball was big for me because I was able to do sport and realise that there are sports that are done in wheelchairs that are still competitive, and I'm exactly the same as my friends, but I'm just doing it differently. So finding basketball was a huge confidence boost for me. It changed the way I saw myself completely.
Sport definitely helped me through a journey of acceptance of who I am and how I'm going to be able to go on with my life the way I am. I discovered basketball through a friend, and also my disability sport officer directed me to the mighty Real Raptors.
I wasn't sure if it would be for him because obviously you play in a wheelchair and Will can walk, so I wasn't sure how that would be. We had no experience of wheelchair sports until that point. It was a real sort of milestone, real changing point for us.
We had a programme called a health disability sport pathway, if you like, so where we had health professionals would refer into us or signpost into us, as it was called at the time, for us to get people involved in sport who we may not have yet come across. He participated in with North Wales Knights under 15s at the age of 11 in 2016. And I think that was the start of thinking, this Will's going to go on some journey.
My athletics I actually found through a Disability Sport Wales in-sport series event. Gave it a go, and I met my coach Morgan Jones, and he directed me to a What's Your Potential Day in Aberystwyth, and from there apparently I have potential in sprinting.
You all good? Do you want to sing clap when you're ready? Yes, please.
The best bit of the whole thing, yeah. Well, you'll never catch me at 9 a.m. waking up early. That just never has been me. And then on a training day, I'll quite often like to go to the gym, just flush out any fatigue I've had, work on different weaknesses that I have. And then often in the evenings, I'll come here down to Newport and train with my coach Morgan and my teammate Tommy. And sometimes it'll be a long jump session, sometimes it'll be a sprint session, but that's what a day looks like for me. Wheelchair basketball was really appealing because not only was it competitive, but then also it was around other like-minded people with disabilities like myself, really competitive people, but then because we were all then in the chairs, it was a level playing field, which is something I'd never really had found before. And through basketball, I've been to so many cool competitions. I've represented Wales several times at junior level, winning national medals.
So we're going to wait. He goes for a shot. Oh, that's wonderful from Bishop.
The complete contrast of athletics being the fact what you put in yourself is what you get out. And I love the fact that I don't necessarily have to rely on anyone else as well.
The way I met Will came down to one of our training sessions a couple of years ago, and when he came down for uni, he started training with us permanently then. We probably discovered sport in the same way, so we understand para and CP, so we know understand each other quite well. It's good to train alongside him. He might be pushing me 1 week and then I'll be pushing him 1 week. I was lucky enough to be selected for Team Wales to go out to Trinidad to race in the Commonwealth Youth Games alongside Bishop. And yeah, to be out there in the atmosphere, yeah, and with the different teams, that was really special to me as well.
Trinidad was awesome. The whole event was crazy. The second we stepped outside the airport, there was people on stilts and drums playing. Being a flag bearer at the opening ceremony was a real poignant moment for me, holding up the Welsh flag high in front of everyone and then seeing the celebration of all the countries that had come together. I wasn't originally meant to be there for the 100 meters, but I became a late replacement through injury to our friend Ashton. And lining up on the start line, I don't think I've ever been so scared in my whole life. The floodlights were on, it was all dark, the stand was full. And the roar when the gun went off is something I'll never forget. And then crossing that line, I came in 5th that day, but again, it wasn't a competition I'd been training for. In terms of the long jump, I had actually really struggled in training before that. And I only got 1 good jump out that whole training camp. And then when it actually came down to it, I managed to pull through and come out with a bronze. What you put in, you get out with athletics. And for me, stand on that podium with the Welsh flag going up was a massive moment for me.
He was so happy to have achieved a really strong result. They don't land on your doorstep for no reason. There's a lot of effort and a lot of commitment involved.
He's really smart about how he works his training and how he looks after himself. But he can switch off and he can take that time away, which I think a lot of athletes struggle to do, especially in the middle of a season.
Some people see parasport as inferior. It's just about it being respecting the fact, look, this person has a disability. It's not amazing considering they have a disability. It's amazing because they are an athlete and they are elite and they put the work in and they feel like their disability shouldn't diminish who they are.
I think there are always going to be times with a disability where your confidence kind of drops a little bit, or you feel a bit left out, or you overthink things. But I'm grateful that I'm able to be part of a community like basketball or like athletics or whatever sport you do, that you're around people with similar disabilities who are just proud to be disabled. And if you ever forget that for a second, it's hard to stay that way because you're surrounded by so many positive people.
There is something there for everyone. I mean, think of the most obscure sport. There is something there for you. And if you don't like something, try something else. And I think the way it's changed my life is so impactful. I don't know where I'd be without it. So just give it a go. If you don't like it, there's something else.
In 2012, when I went to the Olympics, that's what I knew I wanted to do straight away. Ask anyone in my generation in the UK, that's the normal answer. Everyone was inspired by 2012. So to be from that stand to then be on the track would mean everything to me. It's literally been everything from that moment to try and make that a reality.
One of them things with Willie, he always gives and always has done, given 100% into what he's doing, and that's shown in the results he's got of getting to where he is now, and that will, I'm sure, carry on for him.
We talk all the time, every day, all the time. I know how much effort he puts in and how hard he works and how often he trains. I think he works so hard, but he's so humble. And he's such a perfectionist, but he's perfect. He does everything the best he can, and he puts so much effort in, and takes the energy and uses it to support everyone else.
He's bright and talented. We're always very proud of you, Will. Very, as you know. Love you lots, Will.
I'm really looking forward to the future because I'm only just at the start of my journey, and yeah, looking forward to what the future holds.